What's up, Hokie fans? This is Coach Mike Holmes, contributor with the Sons of Saturday. Here we get another installment of 10-Minute Tailgate. Each week we want to provide you with a recipe and a beverage that coincides with the team that we're playing that particular week. This week, it's all about the U. We're playing Miami this week, and we're going down to Coral Gables and having to play those Hurricanes and their new quarterback, Cam Ward. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do a little tailgate-style twist on a staple food down in Florida, which is the Cuban sandwich. And we're going to make a Cuban sandwich slider. So we're going to take some dinner rolls and we're going to turn them into some sliders with the same ingredients that you would get on a Cuban sandwich. We're then also, because it is Miami and it's a tropical vibe, we're going to make a watermelon mojito. So a little twist on a mojito. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. We have here, I have a baking sheet right under here. On top of it, I have two pieces of foil that are about 2.5, 3 feet long. This is done because we're going to, after we get done constructing these things, we're going to wrap them up in foil, and it allows us to heat them in one piece. It also allows us to transport them. So, and we'll talk about heating instructions here in just a little bit. So I got my oven set at 350 degrees. I've already went ahead and sliced the top half of these rolls, and I'm just going to set them to the side here. And this is what I'm working with. These are the bottom. This is the bottom of my rolls here. This is what we're going to start with. So we are going to start with Swiss cheese. So this does a couple of things. This keeps all the good stuff in, and it keeps everything from dripping through the bun to the bottom. So we're going to layer our Swiss cheese right across the bottom there. Try to get it as much coverage as we can. If you feel like you want to break up some more pieces to get it on the edge, that's fine. It's not going to be that big of a deal if you don't. Okay. First ingredient, or after the cheese, is going to be the ham. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to lay our ham. Okay. We're just going to lay it across these buns here. Oop. Starting to stick together a little bit. Okay. Lay these ham pieces right across the top. If it overhangs off the edge a little bit, that's perfectly fine. That'll be just part of the slider bun when we are all completed. Okay, so turned out just perfect. All right, so now we have our cheese, we have our ham. The pickle is what really makes a Cuban sandwich. Some people don't like pickles. Personally, I love them. We're going to take one of these hefty pickle slices and we're going to lay it right in the middle of every one of these dinner rolls. We have 12, so we're going to go 3 across, or excuse me, 4 across, 3 down. You got to adjust it every once in a while. That's completely fine. This is Cuban sandwiches are very special to me personally. I love sandwiches. It's probably my favorite food group out of all the fake food groups. Sandwiches are my number one thing. But outside of that, it was something that just reminds me of visiting with my family down in Florida when I was a kid. So this is something that's going to be phenomenal. So you have ham, you have Swiss, you have your pickle. The next part is the pork. So earlier today, and this is something that you can do, you can either take a pork loin, you can cook it in a crock pot or an Instant Pot and shred it up. You could take a whole pork loin and you can roast it whole and slice it thin. For me, I cooked some pork chops. I had some pork chops, and so I seasoned them up really good. It's a citrus chili seasoning, so it fits in really well with the flavor profile that we're looking for. And I chopped them up pretty good. And so all we're going to do is we're going to kind of take this and kind of sprinkle it in over top of each pickle slice. They spill a little bit, that's fine. They'll just cook alongside it. My beautiful wife, who is my camera person today, warned me that I'm not using gloves for this, and I'm not feeding this to anybody else other than myself and my family, so I'm okay. But so we have our pork spread across. So now our dressing. This is where it gets a little interesting. So a lot of people frown on this because it's not a traditional thing. Personally, I love it. Mayonnaise, Duke's Mayo, and yellow mustard. we're going to take those two and we're going to combine them together. And that's going to become our spread. And this spread, once it's combined, is going to be spread right on top of the top half of these buns. It's not going to be a lot. It's going to be a thin layer. It's just enough to get a little bit of flavor all the way across the top of these buns. Okay. Almost done here. We got one more little pass through. So now that we have the mustard mayonnaise mixture that is covering the top half of our bun, okay, now we're going to finish the construction. So we're going to carefully, because we don't want these to come apart, we want to try to keep them intact the entire time. We're going to gently lay them on top so there's no overhang in any other direction. Okay, we're almost ready to put these in the oven. So the one thing we want to do is that you're going to take about a quarter to a half a stick of butter, depending on how many of these you're going to do. We're just doing one flat of buns today, so this will be for a small tailgate. If you're doing more than one of these, if you're doing the feeding a dozen people, you're probably going to want to do a couple more of these. So you're going to get a little bit of butter. You're going to melt it, and all you do is just going to brush the top with some salted butter. Make sure those things get nice and shiny and glistening. And this is going to help get a little nice crisp on the edge, on the top of these buns when we stick them in the oven. Okay? All right. So now here comes the fun part. Here comes the wrap. Okay? So we're going to start from the long end, and we're going to fold in on both sides. Okay? You should get a little bit of an overlap. We're then going to fold over one side, fold over the second side. Now, because we want to make sure it's even all the way through, we're going to take them real quick, give them a quick flip, and then we're going to do the same thing on the back end. So fold in both directions, fold from the side, fold from the side, okay? Then 1, 2, 3, quick flick back over. All right, so now we have our baking sheet, and you can leave them on the baking dish, 100% okay. When you're going to cook this at a tailgate, if you want to make these in advance, leave them wrapped in the foil. You can put them on a grill surface wrapped in the foil for about 7 to 8 minutes, then flip it for about another 7 to 8 minutes. Then you can pull them off and cut them like we'll show you here in just a second. But this is going to be just perfect for what we're doing today. So we're going to take this cookie sheet, we're going to throw it in the oven at 350 degrees for about 10 minutes or so, okay? It's not going to be too long. Everything's already cooked. We want that cheese to melt. We want that butter on the top to make those buns nice and crispy, okay? So while we're waiting for that to cook, let's slide on over here and let's look at our mojito. You see this glass? This glass is beautiful. This stein used to contain peanuts. That's what it was originally designed for. And it had peanuts and it had a lid over top of it. And this was something that my parents had when they went to tech in the late 70s. So this is what we're going to make our mojito in today. So the first thing we're going to do, we want to get this lime and this mint flavor muddled together. So we're going to take about 5 or 6 mint leaves. I'm using spearmint today. If you want to use wintergreen, if you want to use sweet mint, you can do that using this mint, dropping it in. Then I'm going to take 1 lime wedge. This is about 1/4 of a lime because we really want to get that flavor. And I'm going to drop that in my glass. Now I'm going to take my muddling tool and I'm going to really try to get in there and break everything down. I want to mash the mint leaves in with the lime. I want to make sure all those flavors get kind of ground in there together. Okay. Right now that looks pretty good. Okay. So we'll kind of leave that sitting right there. All right. We got all these flavors muddled together now. We got the lime and the mint. It's all nice and settled there. So then we're going to take our mixing tin and we're going to take our rum and we're going to start with 2 ounces of rum. We're going to go with 2 ounces of rum to start. This is, again, it's 1.5 ounces in the jigger. So we're going to go 1 and about 1/2 ounce. Beautiful. Okay. Then we're going to add our lime juice. We're going to go about 1/2 ounce worth of lime juice. So we'll go ahead and get our jigger set up. About half an ounce there. Drop that down in there. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to add our watermelon. So now what makes this watermelon mojito is that, again, like we said, we're going to add 2 chunks of watermelon. We're going to add 1 to the glass. We're going to add 1 to the shaker. So it's going to get a little bit of flavor mixed in with the liquor, and then you're going to get some in the bottom of your glass as well. We're going to add a little splash of simple syrup. Okay, it's going to be about an ounce simple syrup. Okay, get our lid on here to our mixer and give that a really good shake. And so with this right here, what we're going to do is we're blending the sweetness of the simple syrup. We're getting the rum in there. We're getting the lime juice, the watermelon, all coming together as one. Before we empty that out, we're going to leave that sitting right here. We're going to take our crushed ice. Again, you want a mojito, you're going to want crushed ice, not cubed ice. We're going to add this to our glass. Okay. Pop the lid on our shaker. Let that pour in there nice and slow. Our watermelon is probably in there blocking up the works a little bit. We're going to fill it up about halfway. Then we're going to top it off with some club soda. Club soda is going to add a little brightness to it, add a little life to it. Then we take our mixing spoon, stir everything up, get all those flavors blended together. We're going to garnish it with a little sprig of mint right there. And here we go. We have our watermelon mojito. Let's give it a taste. Down the hatch. That is fantastic. Light, bright, get the hint of watermelon, but you also get the lime and the mint going along with it. That is definitely a drink for a hot day in Southeast Florida. Hopefully, right before the Hokies go and take care of business. Since the time we've made that drink, our rolls should be about ready to come out of the oven. Let's take a peek here. They've been in for almost 10 minutes. So if they're not quite done, that's okay. You'll make sure to cook them for at least 10 minutes at 350 degrees. Okay. It is definitely hot, definitely warm. So be careful when you're dealing with the foil. We're going to get a knife, and we want to separate these just right down the lines that were created by the makers of the buns. Okay. So should be nice and warm. We're just going to power our way all the way through. Just to save some time today, I'm not going to cut through all of them. I'll just show one to show you what it's going to look like. So after we've cut it, you see the cheese is nice and melted on the outside. All the flavors have blended and melded together. We have our pork, we have our ham, we have our pickle, Swiss cheese, mustard mayo. Let's try this Cuban slider. It's everything that I hoped it would be. These are phenomenal tailgating food, and actually, as we go forward throughout the rest of the season, we'll see a couple of other variations of the slider throughout the 10-minute tailgate. I'm going to step back, and I'm going to enjoy my watermelon mojito and the rest of my slider. Please go follow the Sons of Saturday on Instagram, YouTube. Like and subscribe to this on this video on this YouTube channel. Follow me at Hokie Hitter. The Hokie Hitter every week comes out about Wednesday after the previous week's game, and we'll go through and we'll touch on a couple of key plays or key elements of the game to make sure that you guys at home can better understand X's and O's of football from a coach's perspective. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Leave a comment. Let me know if you like it. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like to see that's different. We really appreciate you. Go Hokies.